welcome back to my channel. So I want to take you guys on a quick tour of my bathroom today, and you can see behind me I finally finished the shiplap. So I want to show you guys how that turned out. I'm really excited. So first I'm just going to take you and kind of show you the decor and how it all looks, and then if you stay tuned at the end I'll do like a product breakdown and show you like, not like a tutorial, but I'll just show you how everything went together kind of and what I used. That way if you want to try it for yourself you can go find the stuff. And this was so easy. So let me just turn the camera around and take you guys in to see it. Okay, so this was super easy. If you guys were looking for like a beginner type DIY project, this one is a good one. The only thing I would say is to have a nail gun made it a lot easier than trying to do it by hand. But I'll just give you guys a quick overview. So I just kept it to this wall here and then this tiny wall here. And the reason I did that is because my other walls have things that I would have had to account for. So like say over here, I would have had to move the sink out from the wall, I would have had to move the toilet, and that was a lot more in depth than I wanted to start with. So over here, I just did the shiplap. I found some really great trim pieces, and I'll show these to you guys at the end. And they're just in the Lowe's under Lattice. But they're so thin is why I liked them, because I didn't have to build out the baseboard. And I'll go ahead and explain all this again at the end. So I have this little drying rack shelf here, and I've had this forever. It came from Walmart originally. This part here just comes out. And on top I've got this wooden basket, because to me something farmhouse is like, you know, something used, something with a story. I picked this up at a flea market for $1 or $2. And these are just some IKEA fake plants. This little sundial here was my grandfather's. He was really into gardening also, so my mom always gave him something kind of like garden or outdoor related, and this was one of his gifts. And then when he passed, she told me I could take it. So I just have that here with a green book. And I've still got my bunnies out. I'm going to use them, I think, probably for the rest of this month at least. Because to me, they're not strictly Easter, they're spring. So we'll use them through April, and then as May rolls around, I'll start to change things up a little more patriotic. This here, my hamper I have had for like over 12 years, I think. This was one of the first things I got when I moved out of the house the first time because I needed a hamper. I went and got the pretty one, and I'm so glad I did because it lasted so long. Then over here I have a dresser, and I just have this for some extra storage. This was one of my most expensive furniture pieces in the house. Actually, I paid $60 for this on Craigslist, and I was originally going to sand it all down to bare wood, but it's kind of growing on me, like with just the drawers wood and the rest of it white, so I'm going to go with this for a while. And I will note that as I put, every time I put my finger in front, it takes it out of focus. I will note that as I put the shiplap up, it made the passageway here narrower. So I did have to kind of go in and cut these down just a little to make it fit back in there. But that went easy. So, and underneath I just have some storage bins. Those were from Lowe's around the same time I picked up that hamper. So both really old things that I've just saved and used. Up on top I've got some plants and this little stool that I picked up at an estate sale that I just love. My towel rack was a repurpose. It used to be chrome on this part here, so I just taped off the ceramic balls, and I took this part actually off of the backing and just spray painted them to kind of update it. I wanted to do the dark accessories because the whole room is white, and I love how it turned out. So my shower curtain I have had for a little bit now, and don't see me changing this out in the near future. I hope not anyways. This thing took me like 8 months to find. I had set in my mind that I wanted to find some kind of like a thick, almost linen type feel, because the linen ones I kept seeing were so expensive, and I just wasn't ready to do that yet. So I kept wanting to try and find a thick cotton one. And this is from the Shabby Chic brand. I picked it up on eBay, and it's like a really thick cotton, almost looks like linen, so I'm really happy with that. That's the bath mat that I picked up from Walmart. I think they were originally 12. I found it on sale for 6. But they do have some other nice colors too. They actually have one that's kind of like a pink and terracotta type color. It doesn't go with my bathroom, but I think it would be cool for like a porch or like, you know, a doormat type thing when you come inside to wipe your feet off. And this has a really nice no slide backing. And the other thing I like about this is the pattern. It hides like the wet footprints. The last one I had like a center that was completely tan, and then it was surrounded by like a white and a navy box. And as soon as you stepped on it, it left like the wet foot imprint, and it was like impossible to get rid of. So this one's a little thinner and it doesn't show that. Then over here I just have an IKEA lac shelf, and I've had this there like forever also. It just fit really perfectly in that tiny space between the shower and the window, and it gave me some space to put towels and things. And for as long as I can remember, I've been rolling them. I don't know, I just like the way it looks. So on both of the windows I did a DIY curtain on a tension rod, and this is just made out of a green sack. I just hemmed it. I didn't even stitch it actually, I just used that iron-on hem tape. So as long as you don't put it through like super hot washer and dryer, it'll stay. Then over here, this was another repurpose. I just spray painted this. This used to also be like a nickel or silver. This was originally an IKEA one. I don't know if it's still there though, but yeah. Then I've got the plant shelves, and I kept them white with like a dark accent to kind of tie into the rest of it, but also so I could have some fun in here and kind of like display things. I kept my old mirror. I did actually buy one to kind of replace it with, but it was too much of a statement, and I liked how this one blended in, so I'm staying with that one. The vanity is the same right now. I am going to work on changing out the pulls to make them a little bit more farmhouse, industrial, a little less nautical. In a dream world, I would replace this with some kind of a wooden one similar to that dresser in the corner. So that's something I'm going to keep my eyes out for if I can find something at a good price. But for right now, this is in great condition and it works perfect. Another dream would be the floor. I would love to have those gray and white or the black and white kind of Moroccan cement tile things. But like I said, they're also super expensive. So for now, I'm going with the stone look that I have, and I really like that too. And then now I'm just going to show you the lighting, and there I am. I'm all dressed up for work. I have to head out after this video. Everything is Target. The belt I'm not actually sure because I got it at a thrift store and it had no tags. So onto the lights. I'm just going to turn off the room lights. And this is an Allen & Roth, and it's a vanity light. I'll go ahead and insert a link to this. And this was the first light I ever installed on my own, you guys. So this was like a huge deal to me. Normally my dad comes up and he does it and I watch and help when he lets me. But this one I went ahead and did on my own. And I also did the one on the ceiling. So this one here, I just took it down and I spray painted all that stuff. It used to be like a silver or a nickel. I pulled it down, I spray painted it all, and then I just reinstalled it. I had such a hard time trying to figure out the light in here, and I kept telling myself to change it from the builder grade to something fancier. But truth is, I liked this one. It was kind of just, it blended into the ceiling. It's nice and flush. You don't have to worry about like things hanging down into the room. And it worked for me. And I love it now that I painted it. So I'm glad that I didn't go ahead and try and replace it with something that it would have been like so-so. So that's the tour of this room, you guys. And I'm going to take you out into the kitchen now because I do just want to show you all the products I used. That way you can kind of see, get an idea what I did. So let me show you guys the products I used on this. So here's the Shiplap. This is obviously the first thing you're going to need. And I just have some small sections here. I bought it in 12-foot sections and then just cut it so the wall would be like one run. There wouldn't be seams. But if you did seams, it would be a lot more economical. So this is what they look like. You're going to go ahead and you put the first one on the wall. The second one you just put underneath and kind of slide it up. Because of the way they're built, it keeps the gap for you. You don't have to mess with like nickels or things, and you always have that uniform gap. It also helps to keep them level. So once you get this first one lined up, the rest kind of just snap into place and you can nail them in. So let me just warn you that when you put the first one up, I started at the ceiling because I figured that's where I need it to be the straightest, because my eye is always going to look up before it looks down at the ground. But make sure you level the first one, because my ceiling was off by like 1.5 inches on one end, and had I just like pushed it up against the ceiling and started nailing, the wall would have looked really crooked by the time I was done. So I was able to level the first one and just kind of disguise the gap with trim. Let me just show you that quick because I want you to see what I was talking about. So this top board up here is actually not level to the ceiling. Down there at the end, it had about a 2-inch gap, and you can't tell because the trim worked really well, and I'm going to show you that next. So let's come right back out here. This piece of trim I picked up, I found these at Lowe's. So the Shiplap I got at Home Depot. This trim I found at Lowe's, and they had it marked as lattice. It is wood. At first I thought it was plastic because it's very flexible. I'm going to show you guys that right now. You can see. But that made it easier to work with. And it's some kind of a wood or a wood composite. And you get an 8-foot section for like $3 and change. So it was really affordable. And there's a few things I liked about this. I liked how thin it was because I have a thin baseboard. So if I didn't have thin trim, I would have had to build the baseboard out. And I didn't want to have to go ahead and do all of that. So I was hoping I could find something like this. So that, I like that it's thin. It's strong enough that you can use the nail gun on it. It doesn't split it. I was worried about that at first too, but that worked out fine. You can use the nailer with it. I also like that you can cut this with an X-Acto knife. So like on the trim around the door where I showed you guys, or like any intricate areas, I just kind of measured it out like that, and I scored it with a razor knife and just went over it a few times, and it just snapped apart. So it was a lot easier than trying to use a jigsaw on a board that's this wobbly. So I really enjoyed that part of it. Also, everything I picked came pre-primed. That way I only had to do 2 coats. It made it really easy. So that is what I used. I'm going to see if I can find this online to give you guys a link. And if not, I'll go to the store and kind of get a picture of the like product number. So I know when I first showed you guys the Shiplap, you had some questions about the outlets. So this is what I'm using, or what I used for that. These are spacers, and you can use them on light switches and outlets. And it's basically for when you build out a wall. So you would add, like, say you're adding sheetrock or paneling or something, and you need to pull the outlet a little bit forward and you want it to be like secure. So that's what I used these for. And I used these before, so I knew that they worked. So let me just go ahead and show you guys that. So they're like a flexible plastic, which means they easily break apart. So you can measure to like what you need, and they kind of just like twist off. But here's how they work. Super simple. So you kind of figure out how deep you need to push it out, and then they just accordion. They almost snap together like Lego blocks. So you kind of just snap them together. And I'm trying to do this one-handed as I hold the camera to show you guys. So this may not look super great, but I really like these. I highly recommend these. All right, so let's just pretend that's about how thick we need to pull it out. You'd bend that off, but you can see it's going to gain you that much space. So I'm going to go pull the outlet plate off, and I'm going to show you guys kind of how they fit in there. It's really simple. So let's go check that out. Okay, so here we are at the outlet. Obviously, before you do any of this, you want to cut the power. Because I was doing this project alone, I plugged a hairdryer in. You could do a hairdryer or a radio. That way I wouldn't have to keep going back up and down from the basement to figure out when I got the power. I could hear it. But anyways, cut the power. You fold those things up, and then they just go in between the receptacle type box and the actual outlet. They kind of just like go in there, and you screw it back in, but it holds your outlet flush. You can see it's not like wiggling around when I'm going to plug things in and out. So it's that simple. All right, and then finally onto making it look nice. I used the Glidden paint, and I used it in pure white. I just pulled it straight off the shelf this way. I didn't have any tint added. I did get them to mix it though, because when it sits for a while, it's hard to mix on your own. And I went with a satin finish because it's in a bathroom and I wanted it to be somewhat cleanable. Like I said, I used a ton of caulk. That's kind of like the Spanx of your home decor projects. It's something people aren't going to notice by looking at it. They're not going to come in and say like, oh my gosh, you did such good caulking. But if you don't do it, they're definitely going to notice because it fills in like any little gaps or imperfections. So definitely don't skip that step. But yeah, those are the products I used. I'm going to try and include links to everything that I can for you guys. And I hope you enjoyed seeing my bathroom. I'll see you in the next video.